Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so stupid, dude. You made it. Sol here. Thank you for tuning in to A Talking Box. This video will be discussing the new Conqueror rework in the testing grounds. Things are subject to change, of course, hoping so for the better, although I could be truly mistaken given the fact that we just witnessed Orochi's out of the blue monstrosity when he was in testing grounds, you know, when he could literally punish your punish after missing a bash, you know, all that fun stuff. And then also giving him all the recoveries in the world when nobody really asked for it. And so that is why I'm making this video, to put a little bit of perspective, and hopefully we don't have the same outcome like we did with Orochi. But I digress. I want to go over the things that I liked and things that I would like changed. I truly do enjoy playing this hero, as the flail has just been one of my favorite medieval weapons, and I don't remember if it's been used a lot in medieval weapon warfare historically, but in my honest opinion, it is one of the most menacing looking weapons. So when I talk about Conqueror's rework, I really just want to enjoy the character and want a hero that is fun to play, and fun to play against too, while actually being a good hero pick. Now, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I would say I'm a solid Conqueror player. I know the ins and outs. If I find another Conqueror, you know, it's all about playing defensive. The mind games are quite fun with mirror matches. Conqueror mirror matches I really don't mind, even though it can be pretty boring and a chore to watch at a high level. It's mostly just baiting bashes. And it's like I said before, when you're playing Conqueror, you're not playing for honor, you're playing Conqueror. And the other person has to play against Conqueror. They're not playing the game. Conqueror doesn't really follow the rules because he has a lot of good defensive options. And when he plays methodical and smart and outspaces your opponents and all that good stuff, my gosh, he is such a chore to fight. And that's what made him really fun, and I understand that fact, but he needed to be changed. Now, I know a lot of the people have been saying that he's lost his defensive playstyle and all that jazz, but that really isn't the whole truth. Yes, he's lost his superior block within his zone and his heavies too, which were a little bit finicky, but he gained incredible recoveries within his bash, his chain bash, which correlates to him having a viable offense and a strong defense, as you can see in this footage. Now, with that out of the way, let's just quickly go over the things that I really enjoyed about the rework and some things that I would like changed or adjusted. His chain lights on the same sides are finally not 900 MS anymore. Thank the goddess. I'm not gonna lie to you, I've accidentally used this move so many times and gotten light parried into oblivion. But frankly, I've also had times where my opponents got hit by the 900 MS lights. It cracks the Shinto out of me. This change is a welcome change. I'm really happy that they did it. But those lights are hilarious. They have really good animations too, keep in mind. I don't think his lights on PC at least, they look pretty good, especially his top lights, his chain top lights. You'll see in the background, the live version and the testing grounds versions, they both look really good. Animations take a really long time to adjust and fix and make, so I understand the frustration that you guys are going through, but it takes a long time to fix. So number two, going into fainting heavies and fainting undodgeable heavies and faster unblockables. This is really nice. My goodness, does it feel good. So dang good to faint a heavy. It's been 87 years maybe that I can finally play the game like every other hero for the past 5 years. It's just self-explanatory. Every hero should be able to feint, and it's a really good kit to mix up your opponent and get a GB to land a heavy or just wall splice, all that good stuff. So being able to feint a heavy just makes him feel like a For Honor character. But then again, people like playing him because he didn't feel like a For Honor character too. Number three, losing superior block on zone and heavies. This is a really welcome change because frankly, it was not fun to fight against. Removing superior block on his zone was a great change, and I'm all for it. It was more of a nuisance and didn't really add to the player experience in a positive light, in my opinion. It was more enjoyable for the player using Conqueror, as he just watched, you know, the hope fade from their eyes. Great change in my opinion. And when it comes to his superior block on his heavy attack, when you go for like a light parry and then your heavy attack like blocks his incoming heavy follow-up attack or something, like it's kind of confusing because what happens is the opponent lets his heavy fly and you go for light parry, but your heavy attack also blocks his normal neutral heavy that's supposed to hit you because you went for a light parry, but that rule doesn't work for Conqueror. And it's pretty inconsistent because the recoveries for their heavies, usually you'll just hit chip damage anyways and you won't get a direct hit. It depends on the hero, and it's very inconsistent. It's kind of like the same properties for Arm vs Blockade. They kind of just made Arm vs Blockade just hit everybody. Moving on to the Chain Bash mix-up, which is pretty much the 50-50 now, that revolves around getting hit by the bash or taking the undodgeable to the face. It's his new mix-up, and it's essentially, if you guys have seen it before, if it feels familiar, it's essentially Kyoshin mix-up Black Prior mix up, and that's kind of the direction that they've been going in. Yorm kind of has this mix up too, but it's a little bit weaker and it's a lot less reliable, especially when stamina is not that much of an issue these days. However, it's still a solid way to deal pressure, especially given the meta that we have right now, which is just unblockable, undodgeable, and we need these things too. Keep in mind, like, we need these things. Heroes need undodgeables or unblockables or a certain chain bash to actually deal damage. Otherwise, people are just going to block your attacks. They sped up the chain bash. It was already there, so they might as well just do it to make it more viable, and everything just kind of makes sense and falls in place for this mix-up. And this one, I want to thank the goddess and the devs in general. Of course, they've been trying to work on this for every single hero. No more stamina pause when you hit the bash. There's still stamina drain on the bash, but there's no more stamina pause when you're OS. Thank goddess, you'll actually be able to get it back. It's self-explanatory. We don't need stamina pause from bashes, especially since a lot of people are getting bashes these days anyways, so let's just remove stamina pause from bashes, especially Black Prior, because he's one of the most popular heroes, the knight heroes in the entire game, and everybody uses him, and you always get, after heavy prayer, you always get bashed in the first place, and that's like the most optimal way to play him. You just get into your mix-up afterwards, you lose all your bash and all your stamina, all that good stuff. Really happy about that change. Thank God they did that. GG's Ubisoft. I'll give credit where credit is due, that's for sure. And those are all the changes that I really enjoyed about the new rework. Overall, they made him more viable, and when it comes to being an offensive hero, and frankly, a way more fun hero objectively, because nobody wants to play defensively all the time. You want to be a little bit of both, that's why methodical play styles, being offensive at certain times, playing defensively at certain times, lighting people, actually throwing out attacks, unblockables, finally be able to use the unblockable and heavy feigning into that. That's one of the biggest issues of the Conqueror. He wasn't able to do that. He either had to let that fly or go into his unblockable into bash mix-up, which wasn't really that good in my opinion. And that sums up the things that I did enjoy about the reworks and the things that I feel like Ubisoft did right on the money, and I think it's a breath of fresh air. That Conqueror feels nice to play now. However, I think that breath of fresh air has some pungent smell to it, and that's fine, because this is testing grounds. We want to test things out. If things are too overpowered or things are too weak, we want to buff them, we want to nerf them, we want to adjust them. And in the next part of the video, let's just go over the things that I have to say, because there's quite a few things that I have to say. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'll tell you what. Now, a lot of the good things that I mentioned, there are some tweaks and adjustments that I would really like changed, because some of the things don't necessarily make sense when it comes to Ubisoft's balanced decisions and balanced philosophy. So, with this zone attack, they removed Conqueror's superior block properties. Obviously, no brainer, you needed to do that, so you will no longer be able to block incoming attacks that aren't unblockable. I'm really fine with this, but here's the thing. They kept it at 600 MS. Why? It doesn't have any special properties. It doesn't have undodgeables or unblockable properties or hyper armor. Make it 500 as every other zone in the game. Orochi zone, PK zone, every other hero that has a 500 MS zone that doesn't involve those cool properties. Just take a look at Janhu, Warlord, Jengjun's Sifu stance. What do all of these, and also Shigoki's zone attack, what do all these have in common? It's that they each have a special property to them. Warlord has undodgeables, Janhu has undodgeables, Shigoki has hyper armor, and Jengjun has his Sifu stance is unblockable, and he can't feint it. So there's some drawbacks to having a slower zone attack. But with Conqueror, they pretty much removed his helicopter. They got to bring that back. I'm not gonna lie to you, they got to bring the helicopter move back. It doesn't make sense, because why remove something unique to Conqueror that doesn't get in the way of his mix-ups, or something that doesn't disable him and make him worse of a character? You know what I'm saying? Because having the same chain, it basically acts as the same chain light, 500 MS chain light on the next rotation, and you could feint that. Maybe they go for the parry, maybe they don't. It has the enhanced light property, gets you into your mix-up. It's a valid way to start your mix-up, just like every other hero that has 500 MS lights, 500 MS zone attacks, that gets them into the mix-up. Why do you think it's so important for Warmonger? So she can get into her mix-up. I think it's a healthy way to make the game better when it comes to having another option, instead of just throwing lights to get light parried all the time. And so all in all, if they want to keep it 600 MS, they gotta give it another property to give him an edge. Otherwise, it's a pointless move, and no hero should have 600 MS zones unless they have undodgeables, hyper armor, or an unblockable property like Sifu stance. And this is not just me saying it, this is their balanced philosophy. They wanted to make things viable and faster. 500 is the best place to start. 600 with nothing attached to it, no undodgeable properties or anything like that. It's just pointless to have that move. No hero should be having 600 MS lights or heavies well, maybe heavies, but 600 ms lights as a starter, as an attack. You can't use that. You have to use it just for interrupting, and even then that's kind of pointless because you just can get baited because it's 600 ms. People are going to react to that, and they're going to block it too. So his new chain bash, pretty interesting stuff. It's quite fast. It acts as a strong 50-50, which I do like. However, there is a little bit of funny business going on here. Heroes that don't have a 500 ms dodge attack, or a really fast dodge attack in layman's terms, will be punished by him. If you have a delayable dodge attack though, however, like Shaman or Kensei, you will be able to make a read by forcing the conch to predict a dodge attack. If you decide to empty dodge in GB when the conch predicts the dodge attack and he goes into full block, you will be able to GB him for a heavy damage or whatever you want. However, if you dodge and he doesn't full block, you both go back to neutral. This just feels weird, especially when you don't have a fast dodge attack, or you don't have a dodge attack in general, poor Centurion, because you're not going to be able to punish him, essentially. Even if you try to GB him in prediction, it doesn't work. You're kind of stuck there. You have to initiate your offense, your dodge bash, go into light attack, all that good stuff, which is, I feel like that's fine too. He just feels like another Aramusha, or another hero that can just dodge cancel out of everything, like a Orochi, who can just target swap and dodge attack and just avoid everyone's attack unless you have an undodgeable yourself. And not many heroes have undodgeable attacks. Conqueror just standing there after a light attack or a bash with a full blocking immediately after every attack, I think that's a little bit of overkill. His full block should only be able to be used incredibly quickly after maybe a heavy finisher or a bash attack, and that's it. Like, don't give the heroes an opportunity to defend against himself on every turn. Not only does it make it incredibly frustrating to fight against, it's just power creep is what it's called. You keep adding more things and more powerful things, more safer recoveries to heroes, and soon enough every other hero needs to have those capabilities or those strengths, and heroes have less weaknesses, which can be a good thing in some aspects, but giving heroes the ability to do anything they want is just the wrong way to go about when it comes to For Honor. And even as a competitive game, you can't have everybody doing everything. And right now, I feel like Conqueror, he's an assassin. He is an assassin wearing knight's armor, moving around, being able to full block everything, being able to get the hell out of dodge with the superior block. And keep in mind, superior block dodges to get into his deflect attack, that is incredibly easy to do. When you see someone do it, don't be impressed, because there's so much leeway to get into that superior block. It's not like a deflect where it actually takes a certain amount of skill because it's at the last second, but when it comes to superior deflects, those things last forever. You can do it whenever the heck you want. But yeah, I think the full block after everything incredibly quickly is a little bit too much of an overkill. The power creep is real with this one. They keep adding more things to him. I don't think really anybody asked for full blocking after every single attack, and most Aramusha mains did not ask for full blocking after every single attack either, although it's a good addition. And I will say that it's freaking satisfying as heck parrying the Kensei dodge attack after the full block or after the miss bash. It is incredibly satisfying. It feels like playing Lawbringer, except on crack. Alright, and here we come to probably the most egregious parts, is Conqueror's animations. Now, I like his light animations, and his deflect animation is pretty solid. I don't see anything too wrong with it besides the fact that it looks way too fast for Conqueror as just that type of build to be moving. I guess I can't really complain because Shigoki runs as fast as Naruto, but his animations specifically for this part is his chain heavies. His chain heavies, they look, I don't mean to be rude, but my god, do they look terrible. When you speed, we've seen in the past with all the reworks, when you speed attacks up, they skip a bunch of animations. And as you guys will see in the footage here, Conqueror he's always had this flicker problem with his heavy attacks when you swap guards, and Shinobi had this too with his ranged heavies since they removed that entirely. But with Conqueror, there is a ton of flickering going on here, and it really just looks plain old. It just looks dumb. It just looks dumb. It does not look like a Ubisoft game. Well, you can argue that it looks like a Ubisoft game, but for such a high quality game like For Honor, you just can't allow this to happen. All this flickering stuff, like what the heck is going on here? Where am I supposed to block and parry? Well, frankly, obviously, it's just a heavy that's going to come out, and you don't have to go for the parry right away. But that flicker, heavy unblockable, just looks it doesn't even look like a competitive fighting game at all. Like, what the heck is going on here? Now, I don't know if they can get this patched out in time, if they can just remove it altogether. I don't think they will be able to, because they have to actually charge that heavy attack, and I think it's just the spaghetti code that they are stuck with. It's just dangerous because it moves faster than it actually is, and he can feint that now, and it acts like a bunch of flicker stuff. It's just, I don't know. It just shows what kind of state this game is in, the spaghetti code. And I feel like it's going to push players away from the game more than just draw people in. Animations take a seriously long time to adjust, and I know how much work is involved, especially when you don't have the amount of staff that you used to. But seriously, this should be a high priority. You need to get this going on, because his live version, his animations are smooth as butter. Just look at the animations here. His heavies, he's like spinning his body around so fluidly. It looks beautiful. That's why I liked using Conqueror so much, because his heavies were so satisfying to use, man. Just, there's some heroes that have satisfying animations, like Kensei side heavies, Tiandi's top heavy is just incredibly satisfying, and Orochi's top heavy too. It's just, there's a lot of good stuff. And let's not forget Warden's top heavy too, satisfying as heck. And that's really all I have to say about animations. I just know that I'm not an animator, so I don't know all the details that they have to do. I just know that it costs money, and I feel like it's money that Ubisoft is not going to invest into For Honor, and that's why we've been getting so much, you know, same old moves from every single hero. And I'm really hoping that they don't do that with the new pirate hero, the new woolen hero, because that'll be such a drag. If the animations are really good, fine. But if it's not, and they didn't decide to rework like 5 other heroes, just Conqueror, and the new hero has, you know, let's just say Kensei's dodge attack again. You know, that's gonna be a huge letdown. Of course, I don't even have high hopes. I am very realistic about the situation of For Honor right now. Moving on to the next thing I'd like to talk about, and that's Conqueror losing his heavy into bash and his chain bash wall splat, which makes sense because it acts as a new 50-50. It's just sad that he's losing that, because it was, honestly, it was probably one of the most unique things about the game, and to him specifically. There's this trend where Ubisoft likes to remove certain parts of heroes' kits that makes them feel very generic when you take it out. Take, for example, Orochi's recent rework, removing his heavy deflect Hurricane Blast. You guys remember that? I hope you guys do, because that was the coolest deflect in the entire game. I can guarantee you, I can promise you that nobody had any issues with that move whatsoever. As 1, it was not overpowered. 2, it wouldn't interfere with any of his new tools for offense. And 3, it was the coolest deflect in the entire game, as I mentioned before. Let's not forget also about Gladiator's toe stab that would unbalance opponents when out of stamina. Instead of just granting him a light and lowering recoveries on the unbalance and having them get back up right away after a light attack or something, removing that entire trait takes away from his cool personality, man. Why would you remove that? That animation was sick. I enjoyed that the animators worked incredibly hard on making it. Do you know how amazing that is? You stab someone's foot and you smack him at the end of your trident? That's sick. That's For Honor, baby. But now, he doesn't have that anymore. It's just light into heavy, unblockable skewer, light into heavy, unblockable skewer, toe stab, and then that's it. I thought the devs wanted, you know, heroes to have easier ganks, no? Wouldn't toe stab be better? Wouldn't that be good? Aren't you trying to make a competitive game here? Why does Shinobi get the Sickle Rain, where you can just take forever to land heavy attacks? Why does Kyoshin get Kaze Stance to lock you in 3 second hits? Like, what is that? What do you want? You're so inconsistent. Please be more consistent in making ganking tools if you want the heroes to have it. Don't remove things that make the game easier for competitive players to gank easier, right? Toe stab was great. It was great for ganking, great for competitive players to utilize. And Skewer was also still great too. So why not just keep them both in and just net the toe stab, a light attack, and so the other teammate can just net a heavy attack. It's simple, really. Now moving to present time, Ubisoft decided to remove his heavy into bash mix-up. Now this mix-up in the live version, it's really not the most reliable mix-up. I can agree with that, and I can say that it's not competitive ready, but it almost wasn't completely useless. With his faster unblockable finisher, it acts as another mix-up. Instead of always feinting your unblockable heavy into a GB, you know, I think that'd be cool if there's another option instead of just heavy feinting into GB, heavy feinting into light, heavy feinting, letting it fly. If you had a bash within that mix-up, I think that'd be cool. That would be fun. That would be For Honor. Black Prior has this exact same mix-up. He's able to do heavy into bash, and it's such a satisfying move that, you know, it catches people off guards from time to time. It's not the most reliable move, of course not, but it's so cool to utilize. That's For Honor. I keep saying that. You should not try to strip away what makes For Honor unique, otherwise you become some generic 4v4 game that everyone uses the same move all the time. And so when I say this unique animation, it needs to stay. This is a must. I really believe they need to find a way to make this work. The heavy unblockable, it's much faster now, obviously, but incorporating the bash at like the last second, make the bash faster or something like that to catch people who dodge, that would just be amazing. I think that would be sick. Just granting a light attack to get into your mix-up again. That would be incredibly unique to him, and just make him flow a lot better, and just make him less one-dimensional than what he is on the testing grounds. And when I say one-dimensional, I mean light into bash, light into undodgeable. That's one-dimensional. That's the heroes that we have right now. Make him different. Make him more fun to play for conk mains out there, because conk mains or players that play conk, they don't want to play BP because they've been playing BP since BP came out and they left Conqueror, okay? Most BP mains were Conqueror mains, that's all I'm saying. And when it comes to his bash into light combo, frankly, it does make sense that they remove the wall splat, because having a bash that fast and wall splatting is definitely way too overpowered. But it's just sad that he's going to lose that, and they couldn't find another way to keep that in there, because it's also one of the most, I think it's probably one of the most satisfying moves in the entire game when it comes to bashes in general. I think bashes, that is one of the most satisfying moves to land, frankly. And granted, it's not the most reliable move, but from time to time when you do get that, and when you do mix your opponent up, and you get one of those bashes in, it is incredibly satisfying, and it just keeps you playing the game for a much longer period of time, in my opinion. So if you want to keep the For Honor player base, keep things unique, keep things fun. And this is the last thing I want to talk about, is his bash into light. Now, a lot of people may not notice how big of a deal this is, but for me, it is a pretty big deal when it comes to Dominion and just, you know, higher tiers of play and matchmaking, or even competitive too, because I see a lot of players do this. Now, since they gave his old full block animation attack and put it as his normal bash, you cannot swap targets anymore. This is incredibly important. Why is this so important to me? Well, let me tell you, Timmy. In games where it's a 2v1 situation, after performing a bash, you follow up with a light on the enemy, right? In the live version, you could target swap that. It would just be top light, left light, or right light. You could target swap that after you hit the bash into the other opponent that was going to hit you, because he is most likely going to GB you after your light attack because you had no recoveries there, or he's going to hit you with a light attack and enable another ganking tool for you to lose all your HP. Not only does swapping targets enable you to stall for a much longer period of time so your teammates can help you, or even finish the anti-gank, which in most cases in high level play you won't be able to finish it. Sometimes you will be, but most times you'll just be relying on your teammates, and you can stall with Conqueror. You can really stall for a long time, I'm not gonna lie to you. He is the wall for a reason. Anyways, I digress. I really think with this recent change, I don't know why they switched the animations, because it was already guaranteed in so many cases with your bash in the first place. Having the option to fight well in team fights is the right thing to do. Now, I thought they were balancing 4 team fights, giving heroes tools to dish out damage in team fights. That's why they literally gave him his full block that flies all the way around him, just like Aramusha's full block on his light indicator, or his heavy attack that hits everyone around him. That's the same property that Conqueror literally has. And when you take away his ability to swap targets on his light attack after the bash, it makes him a weaker hero overall. It makes him a weaker team fighter, and it just forces him to stay in full block mode the entire time. Like, why would you do that? You want to give him some tools to anti-gank, and give him defensive tools if you really want him to be a defensive powerhouse, to just hold full block, just like Kyoshin, and enable ganks. And so when it comes to heroes that have bashes like Conqueror, or even Black Prior and Warden and Warmonger, being able to bash the first target and target swap into the second one just increases the skill curve of the game and makes your hero more powerful. You want strong heroes. That's what we've been going for. We don't want heroes to be weak. We want them to be strong. We want them to be able to stall and maybe deal out damage too. And the last 2 small things I want to mention is that he needs a role catcher. Make him viable in 4v4. You're balancing your run 4v4. Give Peacekeeper proper rework, and all the other heroes that need a rework as well. Role catchers, because you need it. You just need it. You have to. It's one of the lists, the check marks that you have to check off. The next thing is that full blocks just need to cost stamina, especially when you're holding it down the entire time. Alright? Period. End of story. Goodbye. See you later. And that about sums everything that I've been thinking about while playing so many games in test grounds with Conqueror. And over the past years, I truly do enjoy this hero. I want the best for every hero in For Honor and For Honor in general, because I think it's a really fun, casual game with friends. I think they're designed to be more competitive, and I think it is a competitive game to some extent to its heart, because it's only 4 players, and when you only have 4 players, you have to coordinate with your team. Otherwise, if one person literally is just not there, that means you're gonna lose. But if you want a less competitive game and more casual experience, you want to put more players in, so there's more chaos. More chaos most likely means more fun and more, casual experiences, jumping in there and then getting out and having some fun. But when it comes to 4v4, it's very strict, and if you decide to mess around, you're pretty much, ruin it for your entire team. Which is why we need a ranked mode. Thank God they're making it soon, right? Right, Ubisoft? I don't think so. Like I said before, this is still testing ground. So many things that can drastically change. We just need to give them constructive feedback with the appropriate amount of info that comes in essay format, the video format, on Reddit post, Twitter post, all that good stuff. Go ahead and in that survey when they sent it out as well, we saw how annoying Orochi was when they overbuffed him and they nerfed him into the right degree. However, I think they might have overnerfed him with the undodgeable light attack. However, we can't do anything about that unless we decide to make a petition, which I'm not really too worried about that. I'm worried about then making the pirate hero a good hero. That's the only thing I'm worried about, making good heroes and good maps right now and rebalancing the rest of the cast. He's okay now, but he's not as strong as he used to be. However, I digress. Hopefully they listen to some of these changes and listen to the good changes out there that we have, because I know there's a lot of good conk mains out there that really want his hero to be better. He's good right now in testing grounds, but I think he might be a little bit overtuned. That's just my opinion, especially in some areas. But overall, I'm happy with him. I think there still needs to be a few tweaks here and there, but if they're going with the direction of Black Prior's kit, I think that's fine. It's a little bit generic, and I hope the animations are improved significantly. I don't care if it takes, actually I do care if it takes a long time, because I only play this game like maybe once or twice a week. I do not play this game like every single day or every other single, like 5 times a day anymore, because that is just painful. But let me know what you guys think down below. What changes would you guys like for Conqueror? What needs to stay? What needs to go? And let me know down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope the video made your day. Have a good night. The box is going to bed now. Bye bye. See you later.